I'm glad to hear that. Like she said, Children's Church be dismissed right now. The first thing I want to say while I'm up here is a thank you to all the fathers of this church. Amen. Y'all do a wonderful job, and especially this week, y'all have helped me so much. I can't express my gratitude towards y'all, especially to my father back there. I know Father's Day can seem pretty. A father's job can seem pretty thankless in general. I know y'all have hard hours. Y'all have to put up with a lot, and then y'all just have to keep smiling right through it. I want to talk today in the Bible. I spent all week planning a sermon, and I had this idea for it. And then last night I sat down, prayed, and realized that wasn't what I needed to talk about. And so today I want to talk about Noah. Noah, he was an interesting man because in a time where he was surrounded by evil, it says here in Genesis 6, chapter 5. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. When the Lord saw that the man's wickedness was widespread on the earth, and that every scheme his mind thought of was nothing but evil all the time, the Lord regretted that he had made man on the earth. He was grieved in his heart. The world was completely evil. It says later that all of the creatures of the earth, everything had fallen into corruption, except for one man, Noah. Genesis chapter 6, verse 9, if you'll turn to that real quick, and we're going to read through 9 to 13. These are the family records of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among his contemporaries. Noah walked with God, and Noah fathered 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with wickedness. God saw how corrupt the earth was, and every creature had corrupted its way on earth. Then God said to Noah, I have decided to put an end to every creature, for the earth is filled with wickedness. Because of them, therefore, I am going to destroy them along with the earth. Noah fathered 3 sons, and you can imagine if he was such a righteous man and he walked with God, he raised his children that way. And I believe that is why him and his children, his whole family, were spared from the flood. I think it's important to note that Noah exemplifies sort of what men need to do in their lives. Especially in a time like this, we see the world's getting pretty dark. It's a very evil and corrupt place. And somehow Noah, in the face of everything else being evil, was able to stay righteous. And he lived his life for God. That was what he did, every second of every day. He didn't have the commandments, and I don't know if he had any religious texts back then, or if he just was in direct contact with God. But he spent his life following him. We see God decided to destroy the earth, and he gave Noah some instructions. And we know what those were. I'm not going to bore everyone with the details of the ark, but it's very large. And then he told him to go and collect 2 of every animal on earth. I think that's a pretty tall order. I don't know about y'all, but Noah was willing to do it. He was willing to do it for his family, and he was willing to do it out of his faithfulness towards God. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 7. I'll just read it for y'all real quick. It says, by faith, Noah, after he was warned about what was not yet seen, motivated by godly fear, built an ark to deliver his family. By faith, he condemned the world and became an heir to the righteousness that comes by faith. So he became an heir to the righteousness that comes by faith. And on the topic of fathers being a thankless job, I think that's a sign right there. Being a good father, spending every waking moment walking in God, living for God, and leading your family that way, doing everything you can to protect them, and ultimately, above all, fearing God will lead to the ultimate reward. And that's truly what I believe there. I need to move this. I keep breathing into it. I'm just going to turn that off and speak through this mic here. It never really says in the Bible, from what I can tell, how long it took Noah to build the ark. It was quite large, and I'm sure collecting all of the animals wasn't the easiest task. And I'm sure that was the labor of his lifetime, was building that ark, collecting all of the animals, putting his family on there. And I guess that's sort of the labor that he went through for his love of his family. And I think that's important nowadays because I know dads put in a lot of work to raise their families. I'm sure, I know it takes a lot of work from y'all. And I know y'all put y'all's heart and soul into it. I know this. I know my dad. I know he's put everything he's had into raising his kids and holding his family close and trying to bring us up under God. And I'm very thankful to him for that. Like I said, Noah built the ark. It took him his whole life. I believe it took him most of his life. And Genesis 7:1. Then the Lord said to Noah, "Enter the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you alone are righteous before me in this generation." God saw that. God will see that you're righteous. He'll see that you're following his path. He'll see that you're walking for him. And he will deliver you through the storm, no matter what that storm may be. If your family faces it, and as long as you stay steadfast in the faith, anchor your family, he'll deliver you through the storm. And he'll help us through it. And again, it comes down to following what he wants you to do. Genesis 7:13 through 16. Get it right here. On that same day, Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, Japheth, Noah's wife, his 3 sons' wives, entered the ark with him. His whole family was spared. I mean, because of his work and his faithfulness, his whole family was delivered. And I forgot to mark this verse in my Bible. I wish I had. Don't take my word for it. You can find it. But it speaks about how the parents, specifically the fathers, secure a fortress for their children. I'm trying to think of the exact wording of it. I don't want to mess it up, but it is about, fathers pray to secure a fortress for their children, and in God they can find that place. And I believe it's something along those lines, and that's exactly what Noah's doing here. Noah's securing a fortress for his family, just as every man should pray to. Genesis 8:1. God remembered Noah as well as all the wildlife and all the livestock that were with him on the ark. God caused a wind to pass over the earth, and the water began to subside. That once again harkens to him delivering you through the storm. He delivered Noah through this storm, kept him there through the raging winds. and then remembered him and brought him out of it. God made a promise after that point, and that's Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will not cease. It's because of the actions of Noah and his faithfulness towards God that we have the lives that we have now. I would hate to imagine if Noah hadn't been that one righteous man and walked by God and stood in the face of evil like he did, because we might not be around. It was all it took was that one righteous man for good to endure on the earth. And this all went by a little bit faster than I had planned it to. I sort of had a big, long plan in my head, and it disintegrated right here. But I want to say that's all it takes. That's all it takes in this world. Even if it comes down to, and I'm speaking to everyone in here, even if it comes down to you being the last righteous person on earth, walk by God, stand by Him, follow His commandments and His word, and He'll lead you out of the storm. And He will allow you to prosper. Fear God with all of your heart, and that is what you will find. And for the men, like I said, there is a reward for men who fear God. Noah got this same reward himself. It's Psalm 128, 1 through 4. How happy is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in His ways. You will surely eat what your hands have worked for. You will be happy, and it will go well for you. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house, your sons like young olive trees around your table. In this very way, the man who fears the Lord will be blessed. That's the reward that's waiting for you. And I know I'm repeating myself, but you just have to stand by the Bible. And in this day and age, it's more important than ever, because we're even seeing people try to take the Bible and turn it against us. People are trying to take the Bible and corrupt it and twist it around and try to find a way to make it work for their own evil purposes. And it doesn't. If it stays untouched, it doesn't. So help keep the Bible untouched. Preserve it in your heart and use it every day, because if you want to be a good father, how can I say this? If you want to be a good father, all the rest of that comes with fearing God and keeping this, because this is a manual for it. God is the greatest father. He is the greatest example of one. And as long as you follow His example and learn from the Bible, cherish it, and follow it, you will be a great father. Again, I'm sorry to cut this short. I don't have anything else. Brother JR, if you would come up here.
Good job, Corey. I promise you next time it'll be easier. I promise you it will be. That concludes our service. I thank you for being here. Everybody give Corey a big hand, and thank you, Corey. You may be dismissed.